Hi, it's Michael from Planet Naturopath. In this video today, we're going to talk about the self-decode lab test analyzer. Have you ever been to the doctors, got your lab results back, and they just look like a whole bunch of numbers? The doctor says everything's fine, yet you don't feel fine, or you just know there could be more to this information than you're in the range, don't worry about it. The lab test analyzer tool helps you analyze your results, explaining exactly what each marker means, what it means if it's a little bit high, a little bit low, what the optimal range is, and more importantly, if things are out of range, what to do next. So let's have a look at this tool and I'll explain exactly what it means. So this is what a standard blood test result can look like. All the different markers, where you're at, the reference range, and there's just no context. The doctors might say everything's fine, or there's one little thing out of range, but it doesn't really educate you on understanding what it all means. And to be honest, often the doctors don't know what it all means either. So this is just an example report, but it's a 5-page report. But let's see what happens when we upload it to the lab test analyzer. We're not going to go through all 110 pages of this, but this is the B12. So it'll give you the, where you're at. It will tell you exactly what B12 is for, the types of people that low risk or high risk of being low, what it means if you're high, and if you were low, what it means if you were low. Hemoglobin, similar thing, explains exactly what it's for. And also things that can affect, different things can affect, what conditions can affect hemoglobin and LDL cholesterol. A lot of doctors wouldn't worry too much about 140, but that is a little bit high. What it's also important to do here is measure other markers, things like lipoprotein A, apolipoprotein B, and these are all part of the cardiovascular tests that we do. So things that can increase cholesterol, different conditions that can increase it. You can set up the report to give you tips on how to reduce that as well. I haven't got that on this report. I usually go through that per client. I'll just sort of make those recommendations myself. But if it's something you just want to run yourself, you can easily do that. So vitamin A, what it's for, what it does, what it means if you're low, cholesterol levels. For many people, 207 would be totally fine. That's why it's really important to check HDL, LDL, inflammation markers like homocysteine, C-reactive protein, of course, apolipoprotein. Yeah, so it goes into great detail. And as I said, we're not going to go through all of these results, but this is from a fairly detailed blood test that I run with hormones, thyroid markers in detail, nutrients. So if it's just a standard CBC and CNP, it's still going to be a 20 or 30 page report instead of a 2-page report or a 1-page report that you get from your doctor. And then you can also set it up so that it'll track your results over time. So as you put the results in, you can see trends. So I wouldn't, if I see a number like, calcium quite low here, I would always recheck this, just double check for lab error, other things that can affect calcium if someone's, if their vitamin D is low. Anyone who's dehydrated could potentially affect their results. But you always want to make sure that before you sort of panic and, recheck in, if it's something like this and far out of range, you check it in 6 weeks' time. So I hope it gives you that understanding of the lab test analyzer. So the lab test analyzer tool is part of the self-decode subscription. You can sign up for just 1 year or get an annual subscription. But not only do you get the lab test analyzer tool, which is pretty cool, you get an amazing array of genetic reports, personalized blogs. The genetics connect to your lab test analyzer account so that you can see what tests you should do, what types of things you're going to be more prone to, and then doing the lab test to see if it's an issue and if you have to be proactive about it. So check out Self-Decode and the lab test analyzer tool. There'll be a link below so you can find out more information.